How did this happen, and were you always destined to do real estate?
Real estate just happened. Started off as a residential broker, moved into commercial. 10,000 square feet was the biggest deal. Remember my first day in my colorful baggy trouser. Because you're fresh out of college. Industry was not very fashionable back then, so was I.
So the supply of office space is a highly specialized business, and it is left to only a few large institutions and Indian developers.
But today, Indian commercial real estate is the best performing commercial real estate market in the world. I still remember when I gave up deal making in 2006, huge insecurities at that time. You feel that
You're out of the market.
Yeah, out of the market. But I think within 1 year, those insecurities went off because the teams below were doing a much better job. And because they were doing a much better job, they were pushing you up to kind of invest your time in better things. I figured out that this is not a product game, this is a people's game. You take care of your people well, they will take care of your clients well, and then you grow.
You are one of the CEOs of the largest real estate REIT fund. Good morning and welcome to yet another episode of Frankly Speaking with Viral. I'm very, very happy today and privileged to have my guest, a friend, of course, a industry leader, Ramesh Nair, with us today to share his thoughts and insights on how he sees this dynamic, emerging, and volatile world. Ramesh, let me first begin to say that, there are some people who are very enigmatic, who are, they always set the trend, and you are clearly one of those. In everything that you have done in your professional journey thus far. And all of us have learned a lot from what you have achieved. And I'm glad that we're having a chat today to know and understand how this journey has been. To let me ask you to begin with first, I know you now for almost 18 years, 19 years in my career. And, when I first started to interact, I got this sense of energy and also that, aggressive competitiveness from you. But, I've heard from you that you started in Chennai, your real estate journey. How did this happen? And, were you always destined to do real estate, or how did this happen?
Definitely not planned, Viral. So needed a job, needed a monthly salary. Real estate just happened. Started off as a residential broker. In a few months, got bored, moved into commercial. Back then, the markets were so small. 10,000 square feet was the biggest deal a company would, an IPC would do in the country back then.
Of course.
Kind of a location. And
this is which year?
I'm talking 96.
Wow.
96. And the world has changed so much back then. I still remember my first day in one of the property consultancy firms where I worked in 96 in my colorful baggy trouser. Because you're fresh out of college, you don't have too many trouser
So
collection.
from college straight into real estate?
Straight into real estate as a residential broker.
Wow.
Industry was not very fashionable back then, so was I. But today, look at commercial real estate, how fashionable it has become. Indian real estate, commercial real estate is the best performing commercial real estate market in the world.
No, absolutely.
And so it's been a big, but no, not planned. Needed a job. I think the love for the sector, the energy for the sector took time to come. Didn't happen overnight. I think the sector started growing around 2002-3. The commercial real estate sector. Till then, I was even thinking of leaving the sector, going and studying in the US. All those plans were running around in my mind. So it's not one of those thunderbolt moments, but happened gradually.
And Ramesh, you were born and bred in Chennai.
Born in Kerala.
Okay.
Most of my early life in Cochin.
Okay.
In Chennai, a little bit in Mumbai. So that's where I spent most of my early life.
But, as you progressed in your career and, it's transformation. You are clearly a big example of how you make it. You're almost like the Dhoni of the real estate industry.
Every time you butter me, I'm going to get scared if you're going to ask me a higher fee. So
That's my job. And you've been on the other side. You know it very, very well. But I'm just saying that it's not very easy to come from let's say, I'm saying from coming from not one of the metro cities to come to Chennai and then move to Bombay and to be the CEO of one of the largest brokerage firms in the world, in India, and now today to be the CEO of one of the first commercial real estate REITs. So it is just absolutely phenomenal. And I draw this analogy to Dhoni because he came from Raji, and he was within the team with the big boys. What has been? When did you really feel that you have made the cut and you now have to? When did you set your eyes? Because you were CEO at the age of 41. So when did you really think that was that defining moment that you felt that मेरा time आएगा और आ गया है या आने वाला है?
Very, very thoughtful and kind of you, Viral, for that. I think it took some time. Like I said, originally when you used to do those small 5,000 square feet deals, 10,000 square feet deals, when you're doing those small consulting valuation assignments, I was also in that team, getting 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs fees, getting 50,000 rupee bonuses. It wasn't that exciting. And we all remember 2002-3 when the IT services boom started. We used to call it remote processing back then, call centers, back offices. Now there are different terms used now. So I think around that time is when I thought I started having that love for the sector, and it paid off. Working for a good firm, working for good teams, working with good bosses, all that coming together.
But which year did you really feel that now?
Around 2003. Around 2003, and that's when I thought India is going to take off.
Wow.
The IT boom started. You may remember the famous NASSCOM McKinsey report, which said Indian IT sector will become a $8 to $10 billion sector, and everybody said that was big, 8 to 10 billion. Today, it's a $280 billion sector, and we've all been beneficiaries of that. A lot of times when good things happen, we personally take credit. When bad things happen, we blame it on the government and the economy. I think we all need to be grateful that you're in the right place, at the right time, in the right country, right economy, right industry, the right city. I remember how we all were at Bombay when the markets were starting to do well. Demand came back in a big way. Now you're in Bangalore. You've seen how Bangalore is
of course,
grown number one city in the world in terms of net absorption. I think Bangalore. Right. So we've all been beneficiaries of that.
And when you came to Bombay, which year was that?
This is 2011. Jan 2nd I came.
And obviously, you had a certain vision, and you were looking to do things. And I remember at that time because. It felt like someone's coming to Bombay, making those changes, etc., etc. But how hard or easy was it to really come into Bombay? Bombay is a different city, different culture. But how did you feel like?
I think I was very lucky, again, Viral. Firstly, at that time, my boss, Anuj, who was extremely supportive, who gave me that space. I still remember in 2009-10, our Chennai office had overtaken Mumbai office.
Wow.
In terms of revenues.
That's quite a thing.
Yeah, Anuj noticed that. He asked me, can you come and head West India for JLL back then. So that's what and I think the teams are also very supportive. They kind of welcome me. Not easy. I didn't know the market back then. I didn't know the developers. I didn't know the tenants. I didn't know where is Borivali, where is Mulund. Came in and started learning that from scratch. But teams were highly supportive and that kind of, and kept to the basics, and you just stick around.
So 15 years in Chennai and then 15 years by the clock now in Bombay. Wow. So it's almost 30 years.
In between education break. So MBA. I did my MBA after my first job.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
okay.
I got so frustrated with real estate that I went and studied.
Oh, you did? Okay, fantastic. So let me ask you, you've been, between Chennai and Bombay, what are those distinct dissimilarities and similarities from a, work-life balance, from the way business is approached? What is it like? I also have my opinion about it, but, you've lived there long enough to actually really share some specific things about Chennai which are just phenomenal, and likewise for Bombay.
I think, Viral, I would see more similarities rather than differences, because all the 6 markets in the country, the 6 big markets, grew at the same time.
Right.
Maybe one year it goes to 6 million, the other year it goes to 8 million, or maybe 10 million square feet. So I think there were enough similarities, except the CBD market in Mumbai, markets like Nariman Point, BKC, other markets like Worli, which kind of emerged. I think otherwise, more or less, very similar. Clients looking for quality, clients looking for better buildings, clients looking for sustainable buildings. Very similar.
In fact, I felt in my travels to Chennai that given the both the cities evolved as business hub during the colonial times. So you had the Sundarams, the Cholas, the Coromandels, those business houses coming
TVS,
out of
TVS is
TVS,
running.
out of Chennai, and then you had the business hubs, the Godrej and the Tatas, etc., coming here, and that's for 150 years now, right? Also, orientation of the city, north-south, by the port, etc. And so the work culture, etc. In some ways, I felt because you have a legacy, most other cities have evolved in the last 30 years.
Finance talent, finance talent in both the cities.
Absolutely, and most other cities have evolved in 30 years with the whole office market, IT boom in India, whether it's Bangalore, Pune, so I have felt a lot of similarities between. Let me ask you, given the whole IPC background and so many years that you have spent, and what was your one big moment that you felt, a win or anything that you felt that this is like really give you, not in terms of value, but it really you did something, or with the team you structured something where you really felt that this was like, and something to share and learn for people.
I stopped doing deals around 2006.
Wow.
And
Wow.
since then, the focus was always to create teams who can do better deals.
Wow.
I still remember when I gave up deal making in 2006, huge insecurities at that time. You feel that, oh shit, man.
You're out of the market.
Yeah, out of the market. There are these youngsters who are going to be doing much better deals than you. But I think within 1 year, those insecurities went off because the teams below were doing a much better job. And because they were doing a much better job, they were pushing you up to kind of invest your time in better things. So that is one of the, I think very early on, Viral, I figured out that this is not a product game. This is a people's game. You take care of your people well. They will take care of your clients well. And then you grow.
Very well said.
Somewhere
Very well said.
that got into me quite early. So that thrill of telling that I did this 200,000 square feet deal, this 50,000 square feet deal, somewhere kind of went off. And the thrill of seeing my team as market leaders, and they've done so many million square feet, became more important back then, and obviously supported by a lot.
You said Chennai did better than Mumbai.
Bombay in 2009 and 10. And that's when Anuj noticed and got me here. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So you said you take care of the people take care of the clients, and then that's the fair. And in the current industry, and I've seeking your advice. Generally for people who are going to be listening, and I'm sure people from the fraternity will listen to this. What is it that can be done to make the brokerage business in India far more collaborative? And of course, it has to be competitive. But what can it be done? What can the IPCs do to harness some sense of oneness, togetherness, etc.?
I think that's the need of the hour. Viral, I still remember whenever I came to you for a help. You were always there to help me when landlords were not. Some landlords wouldn't pay fees on time and all that. I would reach out to you, and I think that camaraderie is something which can be built on. I think that needs to be there within the middle management and the youngsters. What we're seeing here in the REIT world is we're very strong. We're very thick together. We have the India REITs Association. I haven't seen any association for the IPCs. It's so strong. The 5-6 of you control 80-90% of the commercial market today. I think another place where the IPCs can come together is sharing research numbers. Even today, there are so many different definitions. Our boards are always asking, saying this IPC said this IPC is given a different number. Numbers vary between 50 to 80 million where you want to. Like last year's absorption, I've seen 50 million, 60 million, 55 million, 70 million, 80 million in some cases. I think some amount of consistency there.
Sure.
And I think more than anything else, it's the culture which leaders set. I went on social media recently apologizing to a competitor of mine back then. And
I read that post.
Where it was my insecurities at that time where the industry is so...
Did you get a response though?
Oh, I got a response. I took obviously his permission before I did that.
No, but you got a response on social media or personally?
Both.
Okay.
And
I missed that.
Yeah, I think that's so important for people to... come together. We all have the competitive spirit in us. We want to differentiate. But I think a way I would differentiate is tell the client that competition is good, but I think I'm better because we do it differently. I think that becomes more important. And I think if we can inculcate that in youngsters, then over a period we change the culture.
So the next thing that you would do is to run like an industry association for, like, if you look at your career trajectory, you are of course running the largest REIT right now as
one of the largest
REIT right now as the CEO. I'm saying somewhere down the line, like a NASCOM of the real estate industry.
I think I have enough years left in to get to those kind of roles. But today, the India REITs Association, for example,
Yes,
all four of
yes.
us are members.
Yes.
We have Alok of Brookfield, who's the chair. We meet every quarter. We discuss ideas how we can increase the sector. Even today, when there are 11 crore people today who invest in the Indian mutual funds and the equity markets, there are only 260,000 people who have actually invested in the REIT market.
Correct.
So it just actually shows the
growth,
opportunity
opportunity.
for the opportunity for growth. So I think that's what we're focusing on.
Let me switch from brokerage to the other side of the table that you have now been very, very successfully. How was it? How's the journey been? What have been the challenges? And how do you see the big difference between both sides of the table?
I think moving from the sell side to buy side has its own challenges. So, especially if you've done it for like 24, 25 years, like you, it was the first few months were a little difficult. It's been nearly 20 months now. I'm getting used to it. The company has been very supportive. The board has been very supportive. Typically, when you are in the IPC world, even when you're a broker coming up, it's a very eat what you kill kind of a thing, which kind of kills teamwork.
Yeah.
And because everybody has to perform, there's external competition, there's internal competition.
Right.
I think that's very, very limited. Here, there's a lot more focus on the financial aspects, a lot more focus on governance, on compliance. You need to be long-term thinking. If I've had a good quarter this quarter, that's because someone has done a good job 2-3 years before, where I'm reaping the benefits of a building getting completed, rentals coming on time, somebody doing a good job, finding a good tenant. So one needs to be long-term oriented. One needs to think from a portfolio perspective. When you're in the IPC world, especially at a leadership role like you or Shishir, you become sometimes very strategic. Not you, Viral. You're very, very hands-on, client-oriented. But when I was in professional services managing 12,000 people, you have to become strategic. You don't have a chance to become operational. Here, I have to be operational. So,
really?
Yeah, I have to be operational because sometimes I'm looking at strategy, having a telescope, sometimes looking at operational aspects, looking at with a microscope. So I think balancing both those becomes very important. But every day you're thinking, how do I create enterprise value? By thinking long term.
Wow.
So that's been a big difference.
I thought that it will be far more strategic than operational. You're saying it is equal. It is very dynamic.
It is equal. Strategic plus operational. I think that's what is a success.
And but just to put you in the spot, what would you choose one over the other? The role of the CEO of one of the largest brokerage firm, or the CEO of one of the largest REITs?
I think there's a time, place, age for everything, Viral. After a certain while, you hit the glass ceiling in whichever industry you're in. I think that's where having the right, what we call the assignment mindset becomes
quite
very,
very,
very important. Because every 3 to 5 years, I was lucky. I got to work on different assignments. I started in consulting, moved to commercial brokerage, moved cities from Chennai to Mumbai, started handling annuity businesses, property management, started handling support services like marketing, research, bigger regions, Hyderabad, South India, West India. So I think doing those different assignments become very important.
You also add value.
You add value. You're learning every day, right?
Fresh ideas, you're learning.
Fresh ideas. So I think that's what is important. And over a period, if you're learning every day, you can fit into different roles.
Sure.
I think the future for a lot of IPC talent would be to look at institutional developers like us, institutional REITs like us.
You should poach live on camera.
With that, I remember, Viral, in the last 15 years, every boss of mine has asked me, why don't we get Viral in our team? Everybody has asked that. So I'm poaching on live camera. And you're not going to edit this.
No. I mean, I'm really not got a serious offer to answer your question.
I don't agree with that. Every boss of mine has asked, and I was thinking about this a couple of days back. Every boss of mine has asked, how do we get Viral? What you have done?
It's a great setup for this, podcast, because it's April and. Thank you, Ramesh. But some things don't change. This was not in the script. This was not a question that we were lined up for. Talking about your current role and Mindspace REIT, and what is the vision? How do you see the industry? And I'm pouring in few questions here together. First of all, where do you see commercial real estate, and within that, institutional ownership? What is the role of the REIT? How do you see retail participation in terms of investors lapping up and understanding REIT, etc.?
So Viral, today only close to 130 million square feet is REITed. We have another big REIT coming with Blackstone, Satwa coming in. That'll become the fifth REIT. We are talking of a very
I mean, one including retail.
Retail. I'm talking four REIts,
REITs,
including only 3 office REIts, one more big office REIT coming. In US, it's a $2 trillion asset class.
Wow.
In India today, market cap is close to 1 lakh crores.
Between all the three,
all the four REITs is around 1 lakh crores. We have gross asset value of around 1 lakh 50,000 crores. That just shows what's around 11 billion of market cap. Shows the opportunity.
Sure.
I was checking the numbers, US versus India. In the last 4 to 5 years, US has seen minus 230 million square feet of negative absorption.
Yes,
minus 230 million square feet.
Yes. When I was first heard about this negative absorption, I couldn't get my head around it.
More people are giving space up.
They're not taking space, but they're giving up the space. And this is in one of my earlier visits to the US. I think right after GFC is when they said there's negative absorption. I said, what? I mean, so they're giving up space. Yeah, sorry, go on.
So India for that number, minus 230 is plus 160 odd million.
Wow.
So that makes India the best.
How many years?
In the last 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
4 to 5 years, just total last year was 50 million. I'm talking net absorption.
Okay.
So that's the first big opportunity. India being
for
the
everyone,
best.
It's about 220 gross absorption.
I talk in net. So that's one. Look at the service sector growth. Where a large service sector, and sometimes manufacturing is a little slow. Agriculture has ups and downs. But service sector, look at the IT sector, always growing at 10, 11, 12%. Absolutely. Service sector growing at 9 to 10%. And we are not talking 1 year, 2 years. The last 15, 20 years, the service sector has been growing. More than anything else, Viral, even today, our biggest strength is our cost, talent cost. Indian IT engineer is $5,000 versus US $50,000 to $60,000. So that 1/10 cost arbitrage which India has on talent continues,
and quality and volume
because of the volume. You have 1 million engineers passing out, 7 million graduates passing out. From that, the sheer numbers who get into the job, into the workforce, I think those strengths continue. So the opportunity for REITs is very high with 120 million versus whatever stock of 850 million square feet. I think sky is the limit. With new stock every year, we're building around 50, 60 million square feet of office stock. And you were telling me the other day that the net increase in supply is what you're saying, 1%, 2%. You're saying
it's actually less than 0.5%.
Less than 0.5%.
Yeah,
is the net growth in supply.
Yes.
If you look at a 15-year period, you were saying. So that's again the opportunity for institutional developers. Like I was doing an analysis, Viral, how many office developers are there in India who have a multi-city office strategy? And that number is like 15. There are only 15 developers who have that, and we are probably
may not be even 15. When you say multi, means two
cities.
Okay,
2 cities or more.
Perhaps.
It's only 15 developers in India. In a pool of 15,000 developers in the country who are TEDai members, there's only 15 developers who
have
multi-city
strategy.
strategy.
I'll tell you the opportunity in office, and this is some internal analysis that we were doing, that the dollar to the rupee keeps appreciating, and at some stage that will change. But if you look at the last 15, 17 years, that is a CAGR of about 3%.
Depreciation every year is around 3%. Yeah.
And the rental growth is only 2.5%. So in dollar terms, you are 50 basis point to the dollar. So you are paying the same dollar 50 basis point lesser for the last 15 years. Imagine. So that is one part. The second part is on the supply side, and the new completions. But every year there is a developer or two who will never make office space, and we will not name. You're talking about multi-city. I'm saying even singular developers who are making office space in a certain city, and you can gauge it anywhere. Whether it's Bangalore, whether it's Bombay, whether it's Delhi. Every year, one developer, not because they're not doing well, they're doing extremely well, but they will see it not worthy because it's so capital intensive, right? And some of the large names, who are listed, who are going to be listed, will never make office space the next year, or
they'll convert maybe the commercial into a residential,
or they will not go. Then they will stop making office space going forward,
or go slow,
or going slow, right? So the supply of office space is a highly specialized business, and it is left to only a few large institutions and Indian developers who are also kind of institutional in nature. And you're absolutely right. It's a great opportunity. And I keep giving this example forever. This office space building that we are sitting in today in this area, let's say the rent is 200 rupees. So at an 8% cap, a simple thumb rule is 8 200 into 1.5 is 8% capital value times 2 zeros added. So it's 30,000 rupees a foot, right? And this building outside will sell at 60,000 rupees a foot. Resi to office. And you pick up any location in the country of your choice, the delta would be anywhere between 30 to 100%. Express Towers and NCP apartments, BKC Signature Tower and any building in BKC, you know. So or any market, Camellias and Horizon Center in golf course, you know, you pick up any market. So office space as an asset class is so cheap that, and there are only few developers, so it's a fantastic space to be in, and brokers are only 1,500 in the country. all put together only organized 8 IPCs, or 5, sorry, not even 8, what am I saying, 5, 6 IPCs, 1,500 across 8 cities. Break it down to one city, 250, 300.
That's right.
So, you know, and you left that to be on the other side where there are only 15 large developers and you are one of the CEOs of the largest real estate REIT fund. So fantastic. I mean, what is your view on the office market given everything that's happening with AI, with all the volatility that you have in the world today, with the geopolitics, recessionary sentiment, I don't know whether recession, but recessionary sentiment, etc. Where do you see office market going?
I think let's look at it in two parts. Macroeconomy in the last 2-3 months and then AI separately. I think from the macroeconomic point of view, Viral, right now, whatever the tariff wars, the tariff talks which has been happening, I think India's done a fantastic job. The way we've been handling this in the last 3 months, all credit to the government for handling this in a very nice way. You saw the video last night.
Yes.
Of the vice presidents of US visiting Mr. Modi. So I think first is that. Second is everything has been focused around manufacturing so far. India is a very service-driven economy.
Correct.
We've all talked this phrase, India is the office of the world.
Right.
So it's not yet started hitting any of the services.
Yes.
Even let's assume it hits one day. There is some tariff on services. We are talking of talent cost 1/10, real estate cost 1/10, $1 versus $8 to $10 in Western economy. Even today, costs in India, you add up all the senior management costs, internet costs, telecom costs, real estate costs, it's still only 20% what you find in other countries. That 20% because of some tariff becomes 22, 23, 25%. We are still so cheap compared to globally. I think the positives, what one should look at is, today everyone is talking about China plus one strategy. I think there's an opportunity there. Today we are quite self-reliant. I was checking with my procurement team a month back on what are the items we import. So except some elevators in some projects, some chillers in some projects, some CP fittings, some sanitary ware.
Everything is domestic.
Everything is domestically
so
manufactured.
Supply chains, you will be able to.
Yeah, it's all there. It's not that there's going to be separate duties for increased duties for all that. So that's less than 10% of the items are sourced from outside. So
great point.
That's again. So let's assume I think Trump does something. Let's say resolves the global the two wars happening right now. I think India will be a big beneficiary from a crude import perspective, which will help our country. So I think I was sitting with a visitor from US and a couple of weeks back. What he was saying is he visited a lot of countries. He said, India is the country where I'm seeing positivity and optimism in spite of all this macro, global political issues, geopolitical issues which are happening. And I liked the research which you guys did a couple of weeks back on how you see the tariff war impacting India. I think there are more positives than
relatively to what is happening.
Yeah. There will be some sectors like, let's say, supply chain, logistics, some of these sectors which could get a little hit. We've seen this when the Ukraine war started in Feb 22. 1, 2, 3 months, there would be a little bit of pause on some decisions. But that's just for 2-3 months, and then things start getting back to normal. And that's what I expect this time also.
In fact, I was reading this piece which we discussed about where global CEOs are looking at no regret decisions. And IT outsourcing, for various reasons that you just mentioned, falls into that bucket of no regret decision. Because you will save 10 to 25 times, depending on who and how, what you outsource. Whether you outsource through IT services firms, whether you outsource through, let's say, a compounding structure where you have certain things with you, certain things outsourced, or you do a GCC on your own, you are going to save between 10 to 25 times of cost of what you are, and which is here and now, which is going to be in 12 months executable, right? Which is today not part of, and you have a great point to say that even if tariffs were to be imposed on services, just in case, you're still talking about that 10 to 20 times becoming slightly lesser, but it's still relevant. So given the scale, talent and volume and all of that, I think absolutely. And for another thing that we have seen is India is more like a continent than like a country.
Mm.
In its all its diversity, we're more like Europe.
Mm.
Whether it's language, talent, or the scale and size of the country, right?
Mm.
So it offers you so much of diversity in all its forms that you can go to a north or a south or a east or a west, and you can get everything, and it gives you BCP on its own, etc., etc. So yeah, I mean, we find actually to be in this volatile world right now, to be in India is you're lucky on its own, and within that, to be in commercial real estate, extremely, extremely lucky.
You asked also about Viral, about AI.
Yes, I wanted to ask you.
I was asking, talking to a big three consulting firm, I asked the same question. Their view was out of the 7 to 8 million IT engineers in India, at least 2-3 million people are today getting retrained on AI skills. And with that kind of number of volumes of people coming, India becomes, along with US and China, some of the biggest AI talent pool in the world.
Wow.
So that retraining is happening. We've seen it back in 2000 when all that Y2K thing was happening. People were after Y2K, what's going to happen to Indian IT? We saw how Indian IT emerged stronger. When cloud came in, same questions were being asked. When SaaS came in, same questions were being asked. India has always bounced back, learning, relearning, coming back, getting upskilled. I think it's just a matter of time before I see more positives from AI than negatives.
So again, this is another paper our global head of research, Dr. Lee Elliott, came out with. This term called disruption is equal to demand. So every time there's disruption, it generates demand of another form. So
in some other location,
some other form, some other location, some other way. For example, this COVID was a disruption, right? And it mushroomed the whole managed office business.
Yeah. Industrial demand, warehousing demand, e-commerce. There's so many other industries, pharma industry.
The whole e-commerce industry was a disruption, which one felt that will kill the retail, but it generated different form of demand that someone sitting in a remote part of India, let's say in one remote city of Maharashtra, wanted to order Gucci, had to take a flight to Bombay, now can order online. So it forms a demand of a different form, which leads to warehousing demand or office demand, etc., etc. So any form of disruption leads to a demand. I mean, this COVID disruption led to the boom of the residential market, which we saw the residential market, which continues to, right? And before that, 8-10 years, it was just so dormant and straight line, right? So we are very hopeful that we don't know what form of AI and how it is going to, but it will disruption leading to demand is a phenomenon. If you go back to the US, first they outsourced manufacturing in the early 60s, 70s, 80s to South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and China. Those people, I'm sure, got jobs of some form. Then they outsourced to India.
More value-added jobs.
Yeah, then they outsourced to India. The technology work and everywhere else in the world. I'm sure those people have jobs. That's why the jobless claims in the US are still less than 3-4% or whatever. So any form of disruption, outsourcing by itself is a disruption.
Creates opportunities.
Will create opportunity, and we are hopeful. Ramesh, let me ask you, just to switch gear, just give us some high level numbers on the Mindspace REIT and how do you see the REIT industry. You touched upon it, but if you can give us something, because being on the brokerage side, we only see those 4 or 5 terms: rent, escalation, etc., etc. And if you're selling an asset, you look at what is the cap rate, etc. But what is it to be running a REIT, and what are those things that one would which from an education standpoint, for people to learn?
So our REIT, Viral, is we have gross asset value of close to 37,000 crores of real estate.
Wow.
That's 37 million square feet for us. We had a great last quarter where our NDCF, which is the dividend which we distribute, that's grown by over 35%.
Wow.
Our NOI has again grown by around 14%. So 2-3 things we are evaluated by on a quarterly basis. One is NDCF growth. Second is NOI growth. And third is on the occupancy. Simple. So we have revenues coming from 2 sources. Revenues come from rentals and property management, whatever fees we charge. Those are the only 2 main buckets of revenues we get. From that, you minus property management expenses, you minus insurance and property tax is what we call the NOI. From that NOI, you minus interest cost and taxes is what you get the NDCF, which we distribute back. In this case, 64% is owned by the main sponsor, the K. Rajacorp family. So that's how it is. It's as simple as that.
So and you distribute let's say about 6-7%.
Yeah, that's the dividend yield which we give. But when you're looking at a REIT, you need to look at it as a total return product.
Right.
Viral. So in the last 5 years, nearly 4.5 years since listing, we have given a total return of around 13%
Wow.
annually. So around 6% coming from dividend yield and around 6%, 6 to 7% coming from your price appreciation of your share. So you need to look at it as a total return product every time.
So
you
if I exited, I would have made 13%.
13%.
Gross of tax.
13%. Last year, from Jan to December, we were giving like 19-20% returns because the market did really well. And I'm talking the stock markets for the REITs did really well. Globally,
So right now, with the interest rate cycle going down, the equity markets not giving the same kind of return, there would be a lot of interest which will go to.
we're seeing it.
You would call it fixed income with appreciation?
Exactly. We'll see it. So, Viral, every week when you check a highly volatile equity market, same week just check how the REITs have done.
Yeah.
Some of the times
Very
it's actually,
stable, right?
very stable, straight,
There's
going up.
underwritten against superb rents,
Yeah.
great management, great sponsors, superb assets,
it's
great
gone
tenant
up.
profile.
It's gone up in many cases. So whenever there is global macroeconomic, whenever there is local domestic challenges, what we've seen is a lot of people come to REITs, including institutional group
And
investors.
you are, more or less across all office portfolio, you're looking at less than 10-15% vacancy overall.
Exactly. So one thing when we talk vacancy is when IPCs say vacancy of 15, 16, 17%
It
in the
doesn't
country.
include the grade A stock. And
Yeah, there is still a lot of grade B in
Yeah,
that, which
of
will
course, of
always
course.
remain vacant.
Yes.
7-8% will remain vacant. Bad locations, bad buildings, badly managed, strata sold, all those challenges. So the real vacancy I would put in India would be around only 7-8% of good quality space, and that's what people need to notice.
So, just as on a lighter note, this B or whatever, not grade A plus stock, let me quote that just as a parallel anecdote is that if your single malt is over at 2 a.m. and the party is still on, then you go to Scotch. And then you go to the next available thing. And that is what is happening
Exactly
to
what
the
is
office
happening.
market. So,
Not enough grade A stock, you're
stock
saying.
is there. So
Okay.
you go to, the next one and the next one.
I'll remember that.
No, it is for everyone, for it's in every walk of life,
Yeah.
So you sort of do that. And how are you looking at what is your, I know you are, can't make projections, etc. But let's say in percentage terms, does growth include acquisitions? How is it going to be going forward, etc.?
So the REIT, obviously the market, your investors are looking for the REIT to grow. How do you increase your NOI? How
Right.
do you increase your NDCF? That can happen organically and inorganically. Organically, you redevelop properties. Let's say one like what we've done in Hyderabad, something which was built at 1.5 FSI. We're demolishing and building a 8 FSI or a 7 FSI. That's redevelopment. Second is finishing all the land banks which you have within the REIT, developing those, under construction, finishing it, taking it to a rental stage. Another way is making sure your vacant properties are leased out so that you can, our vacancy today, our occupancy starts 93%, which means we still have 7% of the space to lease. There is contractual escalations built in, which is your 5% or 15% every 3 years. That happens. Where we also show growth is mark-to-market opportunities. A tenant who's paying 55 and he exits, the opportunity to lease it at 75.
The market
Current market, that's an opportunity. Inorganically, we grew by buying assets from our sponsor, K. Raja Corp Group today is doing nearly 20 million square feet of office space, other than the 37 which we already have in the REIT.
Wow.
That's an opportunity. Second is where we have a presence in parks, consolidating those, and also acquisition from third parties. So these are the ways the REIT can grow.
You see a lot of acquisitions, let's say from third party, which are already matured asset, not necessarily occupied, but I would call it the 2 a.m. drink, where the single malt is over and you're going to Scotch or anything else. I meant to say that you would be looking at not just grade A assets, because there is a value to be created also on something else which is built, good location, but is not class A.
100%. And that's what's called the value-added opportunity. Right? If you can convert a B plus asset into an A or an A plus asset, today we understand that space very well. Look at it from a family perspective. Today I have 1 million square feet. It's owned by my family. I have 4 children. 4 children have 2 kids each. That's 8 plus 4, 12 plus father, mother, all that. 3 children do want to stick on the asset and they want to sell it. If you sell one floor, half a floor, the building becomes strata sold. That's the best way to kill the building. Let's say you contribute that to the REIT and take REIT units, and anybody who wants to sell can sell those units. I think that's again a big opportunities today. Big family offices across the country today are looking at how they can give some of these
and tax efficient,
give it to a REIT and take REIT units.
In some ways also retail ownership.
Yeah, retail ownership, and you can sell anytime.
To
Right?
a
Again,
professional organization.
yeah, managed by the best sponsors. Look at the kind of sponsors today on the REIT front, the best in the world today for managing. So those are the opportunities.
Got it. coming back to any advice that you want to give new emerging brokers, leaders, on this side, any career guidance of what one should do, but what importantly one should not do.
I think they need to have role models like you.
Hey, come on.
Well, I've seen you. I've known you for 18 years. I think having that role modeling, having mentoring. I still remember in one of my previous organizations, we started a mentoring program, and started small. Today, I hear that more than 200 people have been mentored. I think
Wow.
every company should have a rule that every manager should spend at least 1 to 2 hours mentoring talent, and you should add that in the KRAs for managers. Otherwise, you're not a manager.
Right.
You can be an individual producer, but if you want the manager title, please try and encourage managers to try and mentor youngsters. My advice to youngsters would be, when you're starting off in real estate, be a researcher, learn every day.
Wow.
See how you can improve every day. Those baby steps to improve. Think long term. A lot of people today don't think long term. Everybody wants a buck today. What I've always seen is, if I'm having a good quarter today, like I said earlier, it's because 2 years back someone did something nice. That's why I'm having a good quarter today. So that's very important. I think that learning, even today, I try and see what did I learn during the week.
Fantastic.
I take notes. You listen to people. Today I've learned so much that 0.5%. You said supply increasing. I've been researching the market forever. I didn't know that statistic, that when people get worried about too much of oversupply coming, you've proven that it's only going up by 0.5%, and you've done that calculation of 20 years back. Office space was $1. Even today, it's $1. It just shows the currency depreciation, which has helped the office markets and helps GCCs to come in. I think it's about that learning and also prospecting and networking. At a young age, it's very important that you prospect and network like crazy. I still remember when I was young, even today, actually, I keep cards in my pocket. Even if I'm attending a party, I distribute cards. You need
Prospecting and poaching.
You're not going to forgive me for that. Some things are there in the DNA, so it's going to be difficult to change.
It is admitting, I must say.
Fully admit. I remember this funny incident when Kaushik, one of you mentored Kaushik so well. He's so respected in the
colleagues, we joined together.
he's so respected in the Bombay industry. Once Kaushik was taking his 10 leaders out for, we had hosted a lunch for Kaushik and his 10 leaders, and Kaushik was introducing all the his leaders, the Bombay leadership team, to me, and he was looking at their faces very carefully to see if they have met me before for an interview. And I had to go all the way, act it out like I've never met them. I had to shake hands. Hey, great to meet you. We've been hearing a lot of good things from you. So all of us are acting in that lunch.
I'm going to sort of last couple of questions. So what are your passions? What are your hobbies? What are your personal interests?
A little bit of marketing allowed, right? So,
Of course, of
so
course.
I wrote a book a couple of years back.
Oh, wow.
It was Doing Business in Uncertain Times.
Oh, fantastic.
And this is published by Penguin.
Wow.
And I was thinking the world is going very smoothly now. I don't think anybody is going to read my book because it's not uncertain any longer. And you've seen what happens in the last three months. I think there are a lot of lessons from that book one can use in a
Wow.
turbulent. These were basically lessons I learned during the internet bubble burst, the global financial crisis, during COVID, when India went through those policy paralysis, 12, 13, all that. So little by little lessons which I kind of combined into a book. So
Wow.
kind of try and write. I kind of read. I read all your reports. I think Knight Frank does some fantastic research over the years. Even when I was in other firms, I used to make sure I read Knight Frank India research. Fantastic stuff you guys do. So
Yeah.
those are reading, a little bit of writing. So
Great.
those are passions.
Superb. One last question. I think you're one of the most enterprising person I've come across, and like I said, I started to say
You're overestimating me.
no, really, but very enigmatic, also very passionate and aggressive. Why did you not ever do something of an entrepreneurial journey or business of your own,
I
or
thought
not thought to or tried? Or
the thought has come. The thought has come over the years. But after a certain stage, you have to decide is wealth creation, money, all that. How important is that you? God has been super kind from those small 5,000 square feet deals or 2,000 square feet deals to today having those good bosses being mentored. Even today, great to have mentors, Ravi Raheja, Neil Raheja, Vinod over there to mentor previously, Anuj, Mike, Holland, Santosh, Hari, all who have kind of mentored me over there. I've been lucky. So those thoughts do keep coming. Then I
Sure.
talk to 2-3 friends and see. But that thought also kind of goes away. God has been kind. I've been reasonably satisfied with the way the career has gone so far from a small middle class boy. So I'm happy.
And since we both went and did the same course, you did it, of course, at Harvard, the AMP program in what, 18 or 19?
90.
19. Did that prompt the job switch?
Not exactly, Viral. Today, and I wanted to kind of highlight this. Look at someone as senior as you, leaving 2 months of work and going and doing that AMP program. It just shows your passion to learn.
Amit Grover did.
Yeah, Amit
Then
did.
he
So
did.
many Piyush did it. So many of us have done it now. This shows I still have a budget annually, which I keep for doing courses. Last year I went to HBS and did a 1-week real estate program.
I have decided 10 days or 1 week.
Yeah,
of
1
learning
week.
every year.
And I think that's what youngsters should be doing. When you ask me what can youngsters do, I think you should keep aside 50,000, 1 lakh rupees for just executive education. You go to IIMs today, there are 3-day, 4-day programs with 50,000, 1 lakh. Keep some money for it. You save 5 crores, 3 crores to buy a house. Invest in ourselves. I think that's important. And look at you. I was so motivated when you told me that you're going to go do this program, and I think a lot of youngsters should learn from that.
I mean, it is a learning for life. It's an experience of life, and I think it just changes and transforms in the way
Our
you think.
perspectives,
I fully agree. Well, great. It has been fantastic having you over and sharing your very, very candid and frank thoughts. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye on Frankly Speaking with Viral. Once again, Ramesh, thank you very much.
Thanks for
I
having
hope
me.
you
Viral.
enjoyed.
Really enjoyed this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.